Welcome to our next edition of the Foundation Speaker Series. My name is Michelle Warofka, and today I'm very excited and pleased to have a husband and wife team of marketing and communications professionals join us today. So Mrs. Mackenzie Farone-Waite and Mr. Dwayne Waite Jr. Now, Mackenzie is the Senior Manager of Corporate Communications for Greiner Bio One North America, Incorporated, which is a global medical technology company with more than 2,300 employees at 28 locations in 20 countries and is made up of 4 business divisions. It's headquartered in Austria with sites in Germany, Hungary, United States, Brazil, and Thailand. And Dwayne is the Senior Marketing Associate for Schell Games, which is the largest full-service education and entertainment game development company in the United States and is headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So welcome, Dwayne and Mackenzie. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Michelle. Happy to be here.
Yep.
Go Steelers, right, Dwayne?
Oh yeah, black and gold, let's go.
There we go. All right. So, Dwayne, we'll get to you here in just a second, if we may. Ladies first. I'll start with Mackenzie. But Mackenzie, as I mentioned in the introduction, you work for Grindr Bio One. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about Grindr Bio One, what they are and what they do?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's really easy for me because that's part of my job, right? It's talking to people and making sure they understand what Grindr Bio One does and what we do globally. So as you mentioned, we are in the biotech sector and also the medical device market. We are a manufacturer and we make the products that actually is like a perfect time to talk about it right now with everything going on with COVID-19. So the products that we manufacture are being used right now to test and to try to find vaccines and develop treatments for COVID-19. So I like to tell people, if you've ever had your blood drawn, any of the tubes and unfortunately the needles, that you would use, we manufacture. And then on the biotech side, it's basically anything you would find if you were thinking of a mad scientist's lab, right? So it's plasticware, flasks, plates, petri dishes, pipettes, all the things that are used in every lab across the country for vaccine development, cancer research, all of that. We have the honor of manufacturing those products.
Wow, fantastic. And now, how long have you worked for Grindr Bio One?
I'm coming up on almost a decade with them, actually. I think I'm going to hit 9 years this year.
Wow, congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was my first job out of college that I lucked into. I was one of those super fortunate people that ended up kind of getting the job that they really wanted out of college, and I've stuck with it.
Wow, great. And now, I mentioned in the introduction that you're the Senior Manager of Corporate Communications. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what that is? What are some of your roles and responsibilities, and maybe even kind of describe what a typical day is like for you?
Sure. So corporate communication is really all-encompassing. You wear a lot of hats. So a good general way to describe it is anything that has to do with internal or external messaging about your company. So either talking to customers or internally talking to your own employees and your own colleagues. So I handle everything, especially in the digital marketing space. So in a typical day, I could start off my day doing some email marketing and move over to our website and take a look at the user experience on the website and maybe do some work to improve the SEO or the search engine optimization on some of our pages. I might work with a couple of outside vendors and have some calls to talk about promotions that we want to do, or like today, for example, I'm going to be splicing together a video for COVID-19 response that I'm going to put on our social media sites. So I handle all of our organic postings and all of our advertising through all the digital channels. And I also handle all of our large shows and events. And that's both internal and external. So I go to a lot of trade shows and handle those and our branding at those events. But I also handle things like our national sales meeting, where we bring in our entire team and talk to them about what their focus should be for the next year, how to market and brand our products to customers. And at the end of the day, it's just really important that I get the message out for Grindr and our products to customers, and then calculate, the return that we get on those efforts.
Wow, sounds like you're busy for sure. But it also sounds like that you get to maybe even do a little bit of traveling as well. with your job?
I do, yeah. So when I started working at Greiner, I knew I wanted to work for an international company. I have a bachelor's of science and a master's of business administration, and both of them have concentrations in international marketing, because I knew I was from Warren, Pennsylvania, if anybody out there is from there as well. It's a little tiny town, beautiful place, but not too much going on there growing up there in the 90s. And so I knew I wanted to see more of the world. And if I was going to do that, I'd need to get a job where that was possible. And got a job working for an international company. And when I started, I had never been out of the country. And now between the two of us going on trips, or mostly work trips that I've gone on, I've now been to 15 countries.
Wow, impressive, very fun. Great. Now, if we could turn the tables here a little bit, I'd like to learn a little bit more about Dwayne. And I'd mentioned again in the intro that you're the Senior Marketing Associate for Schell Games. Tell us a little bit more about Schell Games and what they do. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, so what Schell Games does, we design and develop video games and experiences. Started in 2002, and we really crossed the entire spectrum of interactive experiences, from video games on PC, mobile, your theme park attractions, your museum attractions, to just recently, since 2015, we've been diving into virtual and augmented reality games and experiences. So being able to, put on a headset and be transported into a whole different reality is something that Schell Games has really developed a reputation for.
Very neat. I've never done that myself, but I've seen a lot of people put on and they're in a whole new world there. So I'll have to come down and you can kind of give me a taste of what that's like.
Oh, we'd love to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Dwayne. And now, and how long have you worked for Schell Games?
I have been at Schell Games since 2016, so
Okay.
I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary in just 2 months.
Oh, wow. Congratulations to you. That's exciting.
Thank
And
you.
now, what are some of your responsibilities and roles as the Senior Marketing Associate? And maybe can you explain to us, kind of like Mackenzie did, what a typical day is like for you?
Yeah, sure. So for my role there, I do a little bit of everything as well, from email marketing to social media and digital advertising, trade show and events. So very similar to what Mackenzie does, but more on a consumer side. I also do a lot of market research and positioning. So looking at games that are already out or that are going to be out, and how we can use our messaging to get to the right customers, to influencer marketing and management. So with a lot of people discovering games on YouTube, Discord, Reddit, Mixer, Facebook gaming, all of those, and finding those content creators that play games, we actually develop campaigns to reach out to them, for them to play our games and to talk about it. And that's one of my primary experiences or responsibilities. And also, I've been diving more into the video game trailer design and management. So working with vendors to create 30-second to 2-minute trailers of our games to showcase everywhere as well. And so my typical day, I do a lot of everything, very different days. So I can tell you what I'm doing today. Today, I am creating a landing page for a event that will be announced in very soon about one of our games and some of our partners. I'm super excited with. I'm also finishing up a influencer campaign for our latest PC game called Mission It's Complicated. It's a visual novel, narrative-based superhero dating sim. And so it's wild. And so working with content creators to create videos about what that looks like. So I'm finishing that up. Another influencer campaign for VR or virtual reality sword fighting game called Until You Fall. We have some exciting partners who'll be showing our content from them from now through the rest of the year. And also I am going through the final edits of a website design for our virtual reality history content creating theater called History Maker VR. So
Wow,
all over
boy.
the place.
Never a dull moment, I'll tell you, one thing
Yeah,
after the
yeah.
other, but it sounds like you have some exciting initiatives going on here. And I'm curious, is, both in marketing, albeit, different avenues, different ways, but do you guys find that you kind of bounce ideas off of each other?
Yeah, very much so. Since
Yeah.
a lot of our things are very similar, a lot of our
Mhm.
activities are very similar. We can share,
Mhm.
war stories of trade shows. Talking with her about, I had some events where my stuff was just not showing up, and so just talking with her about how she performed, or just email marketing has been changing so rapidly, and the tools that we use as well. So just sharing, what tools she's using, what tools I'm using, and the advantages and disadvantages of each.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a lot of what it is as well, is we help each other a lot. I think, like Dwayne said, we talk a lot of business talk and shop talk at home, but some of it too is just understanding the same frustrations that come along with doing a lot of the stuff, whether it is needing to find a new software, or whether it's people not understanding what you're trying to do, because like you said, digital marketing and email marketing and social media marketing, they change all the time. And with us each wearing so many hats, that means there aren't really other people in our companies wearing those hats, and so you don't have anyone to brainstorm with. So yeah, it's really nice to have somebody that's right there that you can stop and say, okay, I have a question, tell me what you think about this.
Right, get an honest opinion, right? Oh, great. Now, if you wouldn't mind kind of taking us back a little bit, I know, Mackenzie, you had mentioned that you're from the Warren area, but for both of you, and I'll just kind of bounce this off, you could both answer, but take us back and kind of fill us in on your educational pathway, kind of what you did after high school, and are you doing what you thought you'd be doing? Are you where you thought you'd be at this point in your life?
Sure. Let's see. Yeah, I'll get started. So, born and raised in the Pittsburgh area. Woo woo. Moon Area High School, class 2004. What's up? Go Tigers. Yeah, so I have always been interested in marketing and advertising. In high school, I was part of this marketing group called DECA, which is now just called DECA, the Association of Marketing Students. You don't need to know the acronym anymore. And through that, we did all types of case studies, competitions. We were able to travel from the district, state, and international levels to compete and meet with other marketing students. I thought that was awesome. And then from there, also went to a little program called Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week in my rising junior year. So going to be a junior, I believe was when I went. And then from there, I went to Elon University down in North Carolina and studied business administration with a marketing emphasis and communications with a corporate emphasis. And I dived into more marketing and public relations. And then from school, jumped into the PR agency world, tried to do my own freelancing consulting thing, taught marketing for a couple of years, and then wanted to jump back into the industry. And this position in Pittsburgh showed up. Didn't think I'd ever work in video games. Didn't think I'd ever work in video games in Pittsburgh. So to find myself being able to talk about games all day in the marketing industry, I did not see that coming at all. I didn't see myself coming back to Pittsburgh and being a boomeranger at all. So boomeranger meaning starting in Pittsburgh, leaving and coming back, for those unfamiliar with the term. And yeah, I've enjoyed it.
I think you thought you'd be an agency.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, so I went to Warren Area High School, and very much knew that I wanted to get out of Warren. Like I said, it's a beautiful little town. I love it. We go back all the time. But for what I wanted to do in my career, there wasn't a ton of opportunity there. So I went to live in Pittsburgh. I went to Point Park University, and like I mentioned earlier, I got a bachelor's of science with an emphasis in international business, and then an MBA in international business and marketing. my senior year of college, I actually ended up having a professor that offered me an internship for strategic planning in the academic affairs office. And so I was really fortunate to get that because as an employee of the university, I got to get my MBA there at no cost. So I worked there for 2 years, learning as much as I could, was given a lot of responsibility in some aspects. And as you know, like a 21-year-old fresh out of college, you always stop and think like, why are they trusting me with this? I don't know anything, you know, but I think that the mentors that I had at that time were much wiser than me and knew I could handle it and knew I would grow and learn. And it was really invaluable. And then towards the end of my master's program, I started job hunting. And that's when Dwayne and I met as well. So he was down in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time. And I thought it was a great opportunity. You know, I said, I don't want to live in only one place my whole life. I want to experience, you know, some other places. So I thought moving down to Charlotte sounded wonderful. And it's actually crazy what happened next because I think about it now and I can't believe that I ever did it. But my now boss at the time was in a different position in the company. And he found me on LinkedIn and said, hey, we're looking to start up a new marketing team. We're looking for a marketing manager. Would you be interested? And I dropped everything and interviewed. Ended up getting the job, but was told that I needed to start like May 1st. And I didn't graduate until May 15th. So I had to go petition the dean of the business school to graduate early. And he agreed, but I had to get all of my coursework and finals done. So I took 3 finals on a Thursday, 2 finals on a Friday, and drove down to Charlotte Saturday morning and started my job on Monday. Wow. So yes, it was a little nuts, but it was a fantastic decision to make to do that because again, like I said, I'm there still almost a decade later. I've progressed up through the company, so now I sit on the commercial operations and management team, and it's just been fantastic, great opportunities all the way through. But I think it was that internship that definitely, you know, kind of springboarded me into feeling like I could walk into a position like that and be capable and okay.
Right. Wow. Well, thanks for kind of taking us on a walk through memory lane and kind of filling us in on kind of where things started and where they've evolved to now. With regard to your jobs, and I imagine you're so enthusiastic and passionate about, you know, your roles that you play within the company. But if you had to pick something that you enjoy the most, 1 or 2 things, what would that be that you enjoy the most about your jobs?
I mean, definitely the travel. For me is one of them. Like I said, it was a goal, and you had asked if we were doing what we thought we were going to be doing, and yes, like I went into college knowing very much I wanted to go for business. That's and something to do with leadership. I enjoy being in front of people. I enjoy leadership opportunities, and I wanted to travel internationally and see the world. So the fact that I have a job that offers me that is like just number one for me. It's great. And we get to enjoy it as well. So sometimes, you know, Dwayne will come over, we'll go a couple days early we went to Amsterdam last year. And unfortunately, next week we were supposed to be in Madrid, but that got canceled. But we've really been able to take advantage of that. So I think that would be absolutely number one for me. And I think that the second thing that I enjoy the most, I would say, is the opportunities that I get to speak in public. We do a lot of events where you get to be in front of lots of people and talk about your products or give presentations, and I really enjoy public speaking. So I think those are the 2 things that I usually get jazzed up the most about.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so my background with marketing really deals with consumer behavior and strategy. And so being able to be in a place that we're trying to solve interesting challenges and interesting questions is always fascinating to me. So, you know, how do you bring in this brand new market of virtual reality gaming to, you know, general consumers? How can you show a 3D, you know, project or a virtual project on 2D, you know, on a flat screen and have it translate? How do you create this experience for doctors and get them to use it and understand that it's, you know, meant to be used to improve their practices. And having all of those questions that we get a chance to tackle using different marketing strategies on a daily basis, it really continues to keep your brain thinking. So I enjoyed that part a lot.
Wonderful. Now, moving along here, for some of our viewers here, a number of them, many of them are in high school, and they're starting to think about life after high school and prepare for whatever path they may choose to take, whether it's to go to college or a trade school, a technical school, or perhaps even the military, or go right out into the workforce. What are some tips and advice that you could offer our viewers as they prepare for life after high school? And maybe even you could share with us maybe some of the best advice that you've ever received that helped you with your along the way.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I've given a presentation before because the situation that I've been in a lot, and I'm sure that some of the people watching this right now will also be in, is that you will be the youngest person in the room a lot of the time in your professional career. If you're a go-getter and a high achiever, and you work really hard, there's going to be times where you're going to sit in a room full of people and realize that you are definitely the youngest one there. And so I talk to people a lot about how to be taken seriously as the youngest person in the room, just based on my experience and what's worked for me. And one of them is based on a piece of advice that my mother always gave to me, which was to be a lifelong learner. A lot of people, we've talked about this so many times, there's a very startling statistic that 60% of adults, don't quote me on that, somebody go look it up, but a startling percentage of adults never pick up and read another book after college.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And that is insanity to me. And there's an even larger percentage of people after college never step foot back in a classroom, never do another certification or program. And so I think one of the things that set me apart in my career is that I was always the person that was willing to raise my hand and say, I don't know how to do that. I'll learn it. And that's one of two things. Number one is that it gives you a broad skill set that can translate into a bunch of different careers. It's not enough anymore. Like we've said, we both wear a million hats in a day. It's not enough to just be good at one thing anymore. You have to be able to do a lot of things and be good at all of them. So learning all of that. And then on top of that, I think that you also get the opportunity to use your brain, keep yourself sharp, stay on top of trends, and managers and people that can help you, further your career, look at you as somebody who is a good investment because you're going to be capable of filling whatever position they might need in the future. You have a good attitude. I've seen that, really get me and other people that I know that follow kind of the same doctrine very far.
Yeah, couple takeaways. So first, at Schell Games, there's a little saying that nobody likes a selfish jerk, right? So even if you are the best at what you can do, if people don't like working with you, you're not going to get very far. Number two, never be afraid to collaborate. As the economy continues to twist and churn, and there's a phrase, the great reallocation of what the future of the worldwide economy is going to look like. It does seem that collaboration is going to be a big part of that. So being able to learn how to work on a team, to get different roles on the team, whether you're a leader, follower, if you are the rah-rah person to cheer people on, or you're the organizer with the nuts and bolts, be okay with that role. And along with Mackenzie's point, a bunch of my friends have always talked about what college or what education outside of high school looks like. And the best thing to do is to learn how to think. If you learn how to think, if you learn how to critically solve problems or challenges, regardless of where you go after high school, you're going to find yourself in good situations because you could take a issue or problem and analyze, what the dangers are, what the opportunities are, and you can plan accordingly. So, learn how to think, be good to others around you, and learn how to work on the team. And if you can do that, regardless of where you're going to go after high school, you'll be all right.
Yeah, and the only other thing I would add is to try to seek out a mentor. I think both of us have really been impacted in our lives by really strong mentors, whether it was teachers that just, had a lot of faith in us and our abilities, or like I said, people, shoving you into situations that you might be uncomfortable in, but they support you and they're there in case you fall to teach you and educate you about what you should do. I think, we've talked a lot in our lives and we've been fortunate to meet some of each other's mentors as well. And I think that, it's okay to reach out to somebody that you value or somebody that you respect, or even somebody that you don't know, but that's had a career path similar to the one you hope to have, to reach out to them and see if they will help you, if they'll mentor you, if they'll talk to you.
Right.
Because most people will.
Right. That's great advice. And actually, it's a perfect segue into my next question, speaking of mentoring and mentorships. Finally, I know that volunteering in general is a big part of both of your lives. It's something that you're both very passionate about. I know that you're both actively involved in a number of organizations in and around the Pittsburgh area and sit on a number of boards and committees, in fact. You're both involved with the Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week program. So when you talk about mentorship, and Dwayne's displaying modeling, I should say, one of our lovely shirts here. But you both have been mentors at our Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week program for many years. I think we're going on like 10 plus years at this point. And Dwayne, as you spoke about earlier, you actually were a participant in PFEW just a couple of years ago when you were in high school. And even worked for PFEW for a couple of years after, when you were in college. And if you don't mind me saying, you both met actually at PFEW as volunteers, of course, I will say that. And as they say, the rest is history now. You both, come take a week of your summer to join us and mentor students from all across the state who participate in our program. So tell me why volunteering is so important to you, why the PFEW program specifically is so important to not only you, but really to the students of Pennsylvania.
Sure, and that's a big question, because I think there's a lot. For me, volunteerism has always been important. It was something that my parents always encouraged me getting involved, and then as an adult, when you're making your own decisions and your parents aren't pushing you to do whatever. To me, I always thought, if I have, all of these amazing things in my life, it's my duty and my obligation to give back some of what I'm getting. Because I think that you always will get the good if you give it back out. So, if I've got a job that I love and a husband that I love and a family that I love and all of that, well, then I shouldn't just be able to sit on that. I should try to do something else for other people to give some of that back and kind of, I guess in my mind, kind of prove to the universe that I deserve the good stuff that's coming my way. Like, keep it coming, because look, I'm going to give it back to my community. And so I think that's really important. And PFEW has been great, like you mentioned, for so many reasons in my life, not just the opportunity to volunteer, but also, it kind of changed the whole trajectory of my life for the better. So it's been great. But I think one of the things that, we really love is talking about, how we've impacted students. We still get letters sometimes, or get requests for letters of recommendation, or, hey, can I call you and talk to you about this opportunity and see what you think? And whenever something like that happens, it's just so heartwarming to think like that student is looking to me to help them make a really big life choice right now. And I think that's, a huge honor to be able to do in someone's life. And the hope is that we'll be able to keep those people who are the high achievers in Pennsylvania, because it's only going to help us as a county, as a state, as a country, to have these capable leaders, because these kids are going to be the people in charge when we aren't anymore. And we need to make sure that they're capable.
Right.
Yeah, just comes back to giving back, right? The program is phenomenal. I mean, being able to meet other students who are doing the same thing that I was doing, to see that the accessibility of free enterprise of a business. I could start a business. I could be in business. I don't have to crunch numbers. There are more things than just being a accountant or being a hospital executive. As growing up in the Pittsburgh area, those were the big folks. Your hospital, your accounting firm. It's like, man, is there anything else that I can do? And so to really be able to help students understand that there are so many aspects of free enterprise that they could be a part of, not just after high school or after college or wherever they go to right now, that they can participate in the economy right now. And here are some tools that you're able to do, or question or experts or professionals that you can talk to on a first name basis, because that was weird too. Immediately is a really, really cool experience, and to be able to be on that other side for over a decade now, which is kind of weird, is really cool. So
and I think too that Dwayne and I also, well, I guess I don't want to speak for you, but I know we've talked about this before, is that for the two of us, it's also the opportunity to kind of offer a unique perspective to students. I think there's some preconceived notions out there about certain things. And like you mentioned, we've got a 2-year-old daughter, and that didn't stop us from coming to PFEW, right? We brought her with us. You guys were so kind to accommodate us bringing her for the last 2 summers and working with us so we can still both come. And I think that that's important because we can show, especially the young women that are coming through the program, that like, look what you can do. You can work a big time job. You can have a family. You can raise children, and you can still be the CEO of a company that ends up winning at the end of this week. There is nothing in that formula that means that you can't do exactly what you want to do. You can't start a business, run a business, be a giant success. Because and I think that's really important to show young people that there might be things that can stop you, but only if you let them. So if you work hard and you figure it out, you will be able to reach what you want to reach.
Wow, well said. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Honestly, on behalf of our entire team here, we appreciate you both. And we thank you for all that you do for our foundation, and the impact that you have made on literally hundreds of students, and the wonderful mentorships that you provide to the young people of our great state. So thank you. And I thank you both for joining me here today. Truly, you've shared some wonderful tips and provide some great advice for our viewers who may be interested in pursuing a career in marketing, advertising, or even communications for that matter. And it's been an honor and pleasure to spend this time with you both. So thank you again. Appreciate it.